So I made a post asking you guys to ask me some more questions from the perspective of someone who is new to WWE and has been taking this all in fairly quickly over the last year. Now, one thing I think is really cool about these Q&A things that we do together is that since I'm new and a lot of you guys are not, I can open this with a question for you guys that I would love to hear from you. So feel free to drop the answer in the comment. So while I'm answering your questions, what I would like to ask you guys is there a wrestler or superstar who you really were not feeling for a while? Someone who did not win you over. And I'm not talking about quickly won you over, but maybe someone who you were kind of against for a longer period of time. And then eventually something happened where you kind of just bought into them and you were willing to, cheer for them or say their slogan or whatever. Who was that, and what was that moment that turned it around for you? I'm very curious because I feel like I've heard this a few times from a few of my friends that have had people or had superstars that gave them this effect. So I'm really curious if you guys have an answer for that. So for this, I will say I underestimated how many of you would send in questions. So I'm going to answer as many of them as I can. So some of them might get a fairly quick answer. I might elaborate on some that are that feel like they need a little bit more. But I'll try to get through as many as I can. The one I want to open with is one that really stuck out to me when it came in. So shout out to you, NatureBoy1303. They ask, what do you think is the biggest reason that makes people not get into wrestling or for you before you became a fan? But it's that first part really stuck out to me. The reason I think a lot of people struggle, and it might seem kind of obvious, it's the failure to suspend the disbelief, right? A lot of people, I feel like they're like, oh, it's the fakeness, right? It's fake. That's the thing that stands out. And what I believe that stems from is a lot of people's fear of being tricked. A lot of us, we put up a wall, right? So it could happen when you're watching a magician. There's different types of people that have a reaction when you watch a magician. And I think, I have no data to support this, but my belief would be that somebody who's really into the story and really willing to buy into WWE and pro wrestling in general is probably more entertained by a magician than somebody who is not into wrestling or isn't able to get past the fakeness. I feel like a lot of people, we put up these walls where we don't want to be tricked, right? And so you'll see a trick from a magician and you're immediately, oh, well, he was behind your back, or you're trying to pick it apart, right? And so somebody similar to that might watch a wrestling match and see a group of people who they think are trying to trick them. And I think that's where the disconnect is a wrestler isn't trying to trick you into thinking that the fight is real. They're trying to impress you. They're trying to put on a performance. They're trying to move you emotionally and shock you. So I really feel like a big part of getting somebody who is very apprehensive against like really getting into wrestling is they need to get past that initial wall of defense feeling where they feel like they really don't want to be tricked. So I really wanted to pull that question out there because that has been my strong belief, and I feel like Nature Boy kind of was reading my mind, and I really wanted to share that thought because I feel like that's the biggest hurdle when it comes to people getting into wrestling. AVB says, coming back recently myself, Gable I personally think is the most exciting superstar right now. Who's someone you think deserves a push that you've noticed with a fresh eye? It's interesting to me that like the phrase deserve a push is a phrase that it took me a while to truly grasp and to truly appreciate. I see a lot of people say that LA Knight deserves a push. And while I think he does, I think he's doing very well with where he's at. I think it's pretty clear he's eventually intended to be a champion. So I don't see any reason to rush that. I feel like the slow burn and enjoying. I mean, a lot of people say that the chase is the most fun part of watching a champion. That's why so many people are against Cody having the title right now, is they think he's way more entertaining as someone chasing the title. But for me, two names come to mind. I'll give you a male wrestler and a female wrestler. The male wrestler, this comes down to what you think a push means, but I want to go with JD McDonough. And this is someone who it kind of goes back to my question to you guys at the beginning. I wasn't in on JD McDonough. I didn't find him very interesting whatsoever. But man, that dude has sold so many crazy bumps that the dude, I would love to see him and Finn go on a legitimate tag team run or something like that, where he can actually look good, because he has taken so much that I feel like he just deserves a little bit of success, a little bit of some winning in his moment in the spotlight. My female pick is Chelsea Green. I feel like for a very similar reason. I think she has leaned into her character so well and so perfectly that I could see her being a great Money in the Bank winner. If she won Money in the Bank, I feel like she would be so entertaining. I feel like you could do like the comedic failed cash-in attempts, kind of like what they did with Damian. I don't think they should have done them with Damian. I feel like it kind of hurt his, tough guy character to see him fail to cash in such like silly ways. But those ways that they did for him, I think would be fantastic for Chelsea Green. So I think she should get the briefcase, hang on to it for a while. I feel like she would be super sassy with it. I would love to see her with the case. Acorn Play says, love the content so far. Love the enthusiasm. Thank you. I love how much you guys have been super kind and complimentary. So you guys have been super welcoming. Thank you. I was wondering what your favorite match in your first year of being a fan is. It's such, if you would have asked me this a few months ago, this would have been such a harder pick, but it's got to be WrestleMania 40 Night 2 main event. It's got to be Cody Roman. That was the sum of my entire year, my first year of being a fan, all coming to a conclusion, and it was just epic. I wouldn't trade that for anything. That match was so, I'll never forget that match. I can already tell I'm never going to forget that one. Bingo Chuck says, with this new era upon us and Raw moving to Netflix next year, I've seen a lot of people saying they would like the product to be TV-14 again. I think a lot of this has to do with nostalgia. As a new fan, do you think a more mature program would be something you'd be interested in, or does PG rating sound more interesting to you in the future? I like the adult stuff sprinkled in. I feel like if someone's dropping an F-bomb every Monday night, or if there's blood every match, I feel like it kind of is going to lose its touch. I think the shock of seeing the blood fairly rarely, the shock of someone being called, just being called, and I don't want to say it on YouTube because I'm honestly not sure what I'm allowed to say. But like what CM Punk called Drew, the B word, dropping the F-bombs, I feel like those are really good moments to kind of reinforce that, a moment that's happening is a big moment. As someone who's only seen the New Day, this is Garrett 2910. As someone who has only seen the New Day without Big E, what do you think about them? I find them pretty entertaining. It's funny you say that. I will find the picture and put it right here. I met Big E before I really got big into wrestling. I met Big E right at the start by pure coincidence. He was the microphone guy, like the PA guy for my local USFL football team, the Michigan Panthers. So he was doing the mic work between plays and stuff at every home game at Ford Field, which was cool. And then they also did like a meet and greet with the rest of New Day on Fan Appreciation Day. So I have a great opinion about him because he was literally the first wrestler I got to meet, and he was a cool guy. Video Game Robo has a lot, so I'm gonna just take the first part you got here. I read the whole thing, but I want to get through a lot of these. So what are the things that get your attention? For me, it's technical skill and promo work, which really makes you pay attention to a wrestler. I love a good promo. I love a good in-ring storytelling. I love it when the match, whatever match they're in, feels like it's more than just a match. It feels like there's a little bit of a story being told. But good promo work and it doesn't even have to be like truly wonderful acting. Like I bring up Chelsea Green a lot just because I just think she's hilarious. Like R-Truth, like these are good comedic promo workers that aren't necessarily coming out there as like fantastic actors, but I genuinely, the best answer I can give is I think I love it when it seems like a wrestler is fully bought into their own character. I love it when it feels like they truly believe in the character they're trying to portray, and I feel like I can pick up on that as someone who has done some theater stuff growing up in in school. I feel like I can really I have a little bit of an ability to pick up on somebody who actually believes in the character they're trying to put out, and I respect it. I like to see it. I just realized I'm wearing my headphones because I just got finished streaming. I'll use it as a segue. Go follow me on Twitch. I just finished doing a Twitch stream, and I'm realizing I don't need these headphones for this video. Toxic says, as a new fan, do you find yourself rooting for only faces, or who you just prefer as a wrestler? Definitely whoever I prefer as a wrestler. I actually find myself rooting for the heels quite a bit. I found myself rooting for Gunther quite a bit. I found myself rooting for Roman quite a bit until WrestleMania 40. So yeah, it's just who I like. I don't really lean toward face or heel specifically. Mr. Dell Jr. says, what has been your favorite Raw and SmackDown episode you've been watching live, including pay-per-views or PLEs? WrestleMania 40 is such an easy answer, so I'll give you my second favorite. I don't remember which PLE it was, but it's whichever one Jimmy super kicked Roman twice and did the whole like I got you and like pushed you. That was one of the ones that had me like screaming in my chair. Like that was whatever that PLE was. Loved it. Speaking of going back to PLEs, if you go down to my Patreon right now, I've got it in the description. I've got it in the comments. I have something there totally free. There is paid tiers that you can join, but there will be one thing that is always free there, and that is my reaction to watching Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 for the first time. Match I have never seen before, but so many of you hyped it up. I decided I was going to do one reaction or one watch along on the Patreon for totally free. That'll always stay free, and I figured why not make it the one that has been requested the most, so the most of you who've wanted it could enjoy it free of charge. If you'd like to subscribe to the Patreon and see more of those and potentially suggest more of those to do in the future, you can do that as well. The link will be down below. I'll pin it in a comment and I'll put it in the description below. Assassin says, with how many bad things you've heard about the late teens or early 20s of WWE, have you ever gone and watched the shows from that time out of morbid curiosity? No, not really. The most I've gone back is watch some promos that were relevant to wrestlers I'm invested in now. But no, I haven't just watched random matches from them. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing on the Patreon. But no, not really. Blaze Amaze says, I know I'm a little late, but I'm wondering what's your honest opinion on main event Jey Uso. I don't know if this is going to be a very popular opinion, but I think Yeet has kind of grounded Jey a little bit for me. I feel like this Yeet persona has very much taken over his character, which is fun. It's fine. I'm not hating on it, but I do feel like I was more invested in him when he was, pushing off from the bloodline and trying to go and show what he could do on his own. And the Yeet thing, I feel like while it's very fun, I do it in person. I do the thing. It's very fun in person and it's fun to watch on TV. I do feel like it has, for me, kind of derailed that investment that I once had in him, and now he's just kind of a fun character. But overall, I like main event Jey. I think he's fun. Games Forest says, do you like to indulge more in the kayfabe angle of things, or do you like to see the behind-the-scene things, take it all in? So basically, how do you like to engage with the product as a whole? Both. When I'm watching, I love to just buy in. I'm not someone who tries to spend too much time, booking the show while I'm watching it, thinking, oh, that's not what should happen, this is what should happen. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at just watching the product while I'm watching it, and just whatever happens is the story. I can kind of trick myself a little bit into buying into that, what's happening is just what happened, because that's what the wrestler decided to do. And then between shows is when I like to look into, I'm very interested. I'm very interested in how certain bumps get taken. I get interested in how like tables get broken. Like I've looked into a lot of that stuff, and I think it's super interesting. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm 31 now, and I'm not in the greatest shape of my life, but I have, if there's one thing I could do, I wish I could go back, 10 years ago and get into wrestling. I would have loved to get into this industry. This seems like such a fun thing to get into. It seems like such a craft that people get so passionate about. Who knows though? Maybe I'll turn around one day. Maybe you'll see me in the ring one day. I think it'd be cool. Wave says, are there any wrestler themes that you really like, new or old? Also, what do you think makes for a great entrance theme? I think being able to know whose theme it is in the first 2 seconds means that it's probably a decent theme. And I don't really mean with the new, where it seems like a lot of themes just have them saying a catchphrase. I know all the Def Rebel memes that have been going around. I'm not gonna hate on them as much because I feel like I'm new here. I'm just gonna enjoy what I got. But if there's a theme I wish I could bring back, I want the old Bailey theme back. I want the inflatable tube man. That one is just, it seemed like it would have been so fun to be a Bailey fan when she was in that era. Darth Luna says, is it hard to suspend your disbelief, or can you just ignore it by this point? It's super easy for me to ignore. I can suspend my disbelief, no issue. I'm finding it's very easy to enjoy pro wrestling and just buy into it, but also be self-aware and not be tricked by it in like an over-investment kind of way. I don't know. I feel like I can completely buy in, but before getting to the point where it's like unhealthy. Thoughts on CM Punk? I want to see him wrestle. I haven't gone back and watched any of his old matches. I've only seen him in the Royal Rumble. I think he's really entertaining on the mic. I can't wait to see him get cleared and see him actually wrestle. Francisco, what were your thoughts on the CM Punk return? The hype it got was huge, but since you never saw him in his prime, I'm interested to know how you feel about his current run right now. Same thing. I also got excited. I wasn't screaming or anything, but I heard the rumors and I thought it was really cool that they brought him back. But yeah, I want to see him in a match. I'm sure I could go back and watch some old ones, but I've been enjoying just kind of riding the current wave. Maybe I could go back if there's something you guys suggest on the Patreon. I could watch one of his matches back then. I have also watched his pipe bomb promo. I don't remember much about it, but I watched it a while back, and yeah, I'm in. I'm all in on him. I just, I want to see him get cleared. Anti-Makinen, have you watched any A&E WWE Legend documentaries? If not, highly recommended. I watched one. I watched the one that recently came out right before WrestleMania. I watched the one that Roman Reigns was in, like the Roman Reigns documentary. I thought it was really good. So if the other ones are like that, I'd probably watch those too. Red Tube says, would you be open to watching New Japan Pro Wrestling matches, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles? Yeah, that's something. I also plan on maybe watching some AEW matches over on the Patreon. So I'm leaving that up to the higher tier members on the Patreon to specifically pick the ones they want to see. But yeah, it's not just going to be WWE matches over there. I plan on watching matches from a bunch of different promotions over on the Patreon. Okay, I'm going to give NTC 5751. I don't know if this came in while I was recording, but do you have any wrestlers who you are not a big fan of at the beginning but came around and now you're a big fan of? That's literally the question I asked at the beginning of the video. That's hilarious. Yeah, mine's LA Knight. And I feel like I can explain why it took me a minute to get on the LA Knight movement. I feel like a lot of people like him because of the nostalgic feel. I see a lot of people say they remind him of a combination of like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, I'm new, so I don't have those same nostalgic feelings. I just see a guy saying, yeah, and I wasn't like super impressed by his in-ring stuff. So like I didn't get the hype, but over time, he definitely won me over. Seeing his promos against Roman when they did do their thing, seeing his promos with like AJ Styles, he definitely won me over, and I'm fully in on rooting for LA Knight. Yeah. TWK reviews. Played any WWE's games yet? Also, let's go Red Wings. Absolutely. I don't have my Wings hat handy right now, but here, there's an octopus right there. By the way, that's a Red Wings D logo. A lot of you have asked if that's a Deadlock thing. I had to look that up. No, it's not Deadlock. I'm sorry. But yes, I have played plenty of the two most recent WWE games. The 2K games. I play a lot of it over on my Twitch, so feel free to check that out if you want to join in on that. The first wrestling game I ever played was actually WrestleMania 2000 on the N64. That was actually, I don't think I've said this on the channel yet, that was my first exposure to wrestling. I played that for years, and I wasn't supposed to be watching wrestling. My parents didn't know I had that game. My friend actually gave it to me, just left it at my house and let me play it. And I played that for years. It was my only exposure to wrestling, so that's honestly the main reason I know a lot of the names that I am aware of is because they were in that game. G-Rez, what wrestler do you think is the best merch you'd want to wear display the most? Ooh, Seth Rollins has some, I don't know if it's the colors or what. I love his logo. Seth Rollins puts out some good stuff. I know we have his hat. I know my fiance has the shirt as well. But yeah, Seth Rollins makes some good stuff. Final Wolf says, who are some of the wrestlers who you've heard the most exciting things about but still not seen in the match? Currently, CM Punk. I know I've already said that, so I'll give you another answer. Eddie Guerrero. I have never seen an Eddie Guerrero match, but I've heard phenomenal things about him. Probably something I'm going to end up watching on Patreon, but that's the one that comes out to me immediately. Is I've heard so many things about Eddie. Never seen a match. Travis says, what are your thoughts on WWE compared to AEW if you've been able to watch it at all? Have not watched a full AEW match. Have only watched WWE. Actually, I don't think I've watched a full match in really many other promotions other than like NXT, but no, I do intend, I don't know where I'm going to start, but at some point on the Patreon, I'm going to start looking into doing some watch-alongs for AEW. X Johnny Ace X says, if it was up to you, what's the main thing you would change about the WWE? I don't pre-read these, so I'm sorry if this answer isn't going to be as thought out, but the first thing that comes to mind, I kind of hate what chants about 90% of the time. The what chants I feel like have ruined some of my favorite promos. Like some of the, okay, a feud that I was really invested in and I was really loving was Finn Balor and Seth Rollins earlier in the year. Finn's promos I felt like had so much substance behind them. They had so much, the history between the two of him being injured. I was so invested in it, and seeing the what chants and them singing Seth's song over Finn, not letting him get a word out, that sucked. I'm glad they switched to doing their promos pre-recorded in like backstage. I get it. I don't hate all what chants. I think there's sometimes where it's pretty funny, but I do hate when, I mean, I guess I won't say that I just hate what chants. I do hate when the fans kind of take over and ruin an otherwise, you know, something that would be an entertaining segment. Ryan Evans says, as a new fan, what do you think about the talk shows in wrestling like Miz TV? You hate them? You think they're always awkward and shouldn't have your feelings on them? I was kind of against them early on. I didn't really get them. But over time, I started to realize that they were just opportunities for something to happen, like some interruption to happen. So like I was kind of against the Grayson Waller effect for a while. But then as I learned that every time they would do it, two people from a feud I was invested in would come out and start swinging at each other or something. They've kind of grown on me a little bit. Okay, last one, because this video is already going to be pretty long. The G-Bear, or Thegbear? I don't know, the G-Bear. Have you been exposed to any of the major tribalism as a result of the ongoing fan base bickering between AEW and WWE? What are your thoughts? I'll see your thoughts in it. I'm going to tackle the first one here because I've seen it a lot. I have not encountered this tribalism. Nothing really from AEW. I think even in the video that had AEW in the thumbnail, there were some AEW people that just genuinely wanted to know my thoughts and just wanted me to look at it. And the thing that's bothered me the most is I feel like I've almost gotten sucked into the tribalism, but haven't participated in it. Because what I mean by that is I'll be watching a lot of like clips or just something on TikTok or your YouTube of something happening in the WWE, and then I see all these people from AEW just coming in and talking crap about it, which I fully recognize that's not all of you. There's probably some of you watching right now who love AEW who don't do that. So I recognize there are just small groups from each side that are behaving this way. But when I see that, I do feel like I get defensive, and I feel like I want to stick up for the brand that I care about. So my belief is that a lot of us don't really want to do this tribalism thing, but when that small group that does the attacking starts attacking something that you're passionate about, and the WWE is something that I do find myself to be very passionate about, then I do feel like I get defensive and I feel the urge to say something back. So I feel like that's where it's kind of coming from. And I see it go the other way. I see, you know, a clip from AEW get posted, and I'll look at it for a second. I'll find it interesting. I'll look at the comments, and you'll see people making fun of it being an empty arena. So it's unfortunate that it happens this way, but for me, I've only seen it secondhand, I guess, or third part. I don't know. I've seen it in comments. I haven't had anyone really come after me yet. That's not true. If you go to my Twitter, I totally forgot. Hold on, let me find it. Yeah, the first negative comment that I actually got on that video, I'll put on the screen right now. I'm going to block them out because you don't want to go like just start anything, but WWE is so bad. I don't know how you watch that kid show with lame moves and boring wrestlers. You should go to an AEW event. You love the best night of your entire life. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that was that is my one encounter. But here's the thing. I know that's not all AEW fans. I don't see that and immediately think, oh, well, screw AEW fans. It is very annoying that there is a small group having such a strong effect and creating this. And I don't particularly care for it. I'm looking forward to watching AEW and checking it out and seeing how I feel about it. But overall, it does feel like it is a pretty toxic part of the community that I don't intend to feed into. I'm not interested in it. All right, that was kind of a long one. I didn't get to every single one, but I did skip a few that were kind of asking the same questions as other people. I hope you guys enjoyed a video like this. I really would like to continue doing those. You're welcome to put questions down below, but I'm probably just going to do another post so that way the questions can be kind of potentially relevant to the things that are going on in the WWE when I do these. So make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for the community post that I do there. That's where I got these questions from, is a community post. Make sure you subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Twitch, the Patreon is live. We're all in here. I've really been enjoying making this content for you guys, and you guys have made it very fun to do it as often as I have been. So until next time, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. It's been a pleasure. Okay, so he now knows when I'm ending a video or a stream. I don't know if you noticed that, but because he knows I'm going to get up and walk around and he's excited. So this is Max, by the way, if you guys haven't seen him too much. See you guys.